And now on to part 2 of season 1, episode 10, Hailey Owens. If you haven't checked out the first part, make sure you go check it out first.
Also on those cell phone DVDs and computers, he had photos and videos of children. There was tons of child pornography, so disgusting. We currently have a case going on here where I live of a police officer who just was caught with child pornography, and it's just, oh my god, it's so mind-blowing. I've just been sick to my stomach, and while I was taking notes on this case is when all of this unfolded here, and it's so awful. It's literally, I know I'm kind of getting off subject, but it's a police officer who has worked at least a decade at our local police station, and I think they said, like, I don't know, maybe like this last year or something, he signed on to be the school at the middle school where my husband works. He's been the cop there, and he was caught with child pornography on his cell phone, and it is just mind-blowing. I don't understand people. It's anybody who can have that kind of filth is just they deserve hell. They honestly do. But to be in the position of being a law enforcement, like somebody who's going to protect you, that makes it double worse. But tripling that you're working in a place with children, oh my god, blows my mind. I could rant about this all day. Literally, my husband has not heard the end of it. I have been so mad. This guy literally was at my son's kindergarten center. Literally, like, just a month or two ago, I had showed up for his Christmas party, and there happened to have been something else going on. There was, like, some woman, I think, who was breaking into homes. I guess she was armed, and she was around the place, or around the kindergarten center, and, like, a neighborhood around it, and so they wanted an officer on site, and it happened to be this guy. And, like, I literally seen this guy at my child's school. And not to mention, he literally was at the school my husband worked at with so many children. It makes me sick. Thank God he was busted, and it's a long story, but I really hope he gets what's coming to him. But back to this is the same type of ordeal, so that's why it really struck a nerve. This case was already, like, so much on me that when this broke through and it was so new, fresh, and local, I was like, oh my god, what is up with so many pedophiles? I will never understand anything that has to do with that. I will never understand it. It is so sickening. But he did have child pornography on his devices, and he had different videos and stuff like that, but of just, I would assume, like, sex trafficking videos that were, like, he got off the internet or whatever. I have no idea. But on top of that, he had journals in his bedroom of sex stories about what he would do to underage kids. He called them by name, and these were students at the middle school he worked at. Again, this just touches so close to home. It's not even funny. It's just with everything going on here right now. But he had these all written out, what he would do to them, and he actually had photos of these children as well with the stories. Like, just sick bastard. Sick bastard. There's nothing else that you can say about somebody like that. I guess in some articles of, or maybe one article of clothing of Hailey's was found at his house as well as her shoes. The other clothing was found in the dumpster, like I mentioned before. I guess after questioning him, they also got a lead that his clothes were at a local laundromat. So he had left to go buy bleach and throw his bloody clothes and the washer at a laundromat. So police went and got those for evidence as well. He had time to come back home and clean up his mess pretty much as he could. And I guess he maybe had left to go get more bleach or do something like that. And when he came back, that's when cops found him. They said that they did smell bleach and stuff like that as soon as they walked in the house. It just hit them. This is where it's going to be a little bit more of a graphic warning if you don't like hearing the type of details, but they found Hailey downstairs in a basement. She was, after being killed and her clothes taken and all of that, she was put into trash bags and then put into a large storage tote. And he pretty much just dumped bleach over her and around the surrounding area to clean everything up. It is so awful, but that is how these poor police officers found this 10-year-old girl. Her face showed injury, that he had hit her more than once, causing marks on her lips. I think one was behind her ear, her cheek, so he was abusive with her. There was marks on her arms indicated that she was binded or tied during these acts, and she was sexually assaulted, and I don't even want to go in detail with all of that. It was horrid and awful. Nobody should have to go through that. She was alive during all of this, and when I guess he was done, he put his handgun to the back of her head and pulled the trigger. So awful. So Craig Wood's trial began on October 30th, 2017. So, years later, we're at the trial. It actually ended on November 2nd, 2017. It was a very fast-paced trial. Everybody was like, no, this bastard did it. He's being put away. He was found guilty of first-degree murder, and the jury could not decide on a death penalty. I guess some of the jurors just couldn't put that weight on themselves of giving somebody the death penalty, where the other half of them was like, yeah, he should get the death penalty. I don't really want to touch on that, and I'm not knocking any jurors. I feel like if you're not comfortable with something, you shouldn't do it. But in this case, instead of, bringing in more people or anything like that, it just fell onto the judge's hand. And on January 11, 2018, the judge sentenced Craig to death by lethal injection. There's not much more to this case. Justice was being served for Hailey and her family, and that not only is he being locked away for a while, but he is on death row. Now, on July 16, 2019, just this past year, Craig was seen once again in court as he had his death penalty appeal. He did lose to the Supreme Court of Missouri, as they denied it. So, to this day, Craig Wood is still on death row for the killing of Hailey Owens. And, yeah, like I said, it's something that always tug my heartstrings, and I cannot imagine losing a child in such, at all, but in such a graphic way. It's so awful. Hailey's story is definitely one that every single time I'm out in public, and I just get that gut feeling. If you're a mom or a dad and you have kids, you just sometimes get that gut feeling when you're in a situation where you feel a little uncomfortable, it's really crowded, or whatever the case may be, and you grip your kids a little bit tighter. And there's just those cases that I always think of. And Hailey Owens is always going to be one of those where I grip my kids a little bit tighter and think, I can't let go of them. I think a lot of these cases too, really, if you dig into true crime and you are a parent, you do become so much more involved that you're just like very overbearing and overprotective. And I know like my kids as teenagers are going to hate me, or even like Hailey's age, being almost a preteen and feeling like you're big enough to do things like that. But I will never condone it. Like, I just know. I'm like, I'm a very free-spirited person when it comes to a lot of things. I want my kids to go out and do things and kind of have a little bit more of like a free range on decisions and stuff like that they make, and not be like so, over the top about things. But when it comes to their immediate safety, I'm always like, no. It's just not happening. Like, I feel like I'm the mom that I won't want to do sleepovers. I will not be, I'm like, if kids want to come to my house, yeah, sure. I would love to have them over. But thinking about my children being in the hands of somebody else, I would not sleep. My kid would not be able to go without a cell phone. Like, I'd be texting them, are you okay? What are you doing? Hey, let's call. Let's talk every 5 minutes. Like, I would not be able to do it. And if for some reason they didn't answer, I would be the crazy mom that would just show up and be like, where the is my kid? But just these stories, though, they really do make you think, like, am I doing everything that I can to protect my child? And even just an innocent thing. I'm sure Hailey's mom grew up walking the streets and going to her friend's house, so she just thinks it's not a big deal. But nowadays you can't do that. Like I said, there's so many sick bastard pedophiles out there these days that you can't do simple things like that anymore. And I guess that's why I get so mad about people who are just like, all these kids with like electronics, and when I was a kid, I was out roaming the streets playing with my friends, and I'm like, you can't do that anymore, because a lot of people that are your age that you grew up with are pedophiles. It's like, I don't know. I'm not gonna go down the whole okay boomer conversation. I'm not gonna do a whole TED talk, but I'm just saying, stuff like that just really infuriates me, because that's how you have cases like these days. You can never be too cautious or safe, in my opinion. And I mean, that's just how it is. But my heart does go out to Hailey's family and everyone in that area who was just so, I can't even say everyone in that area. I feel like everybody who knew the story in this case were so brokenhearted, myself included. But this is the end of season 1. Like I said, season 1 wrap up is coming next week, and I'm going to go back over cases, go through my blog, and make sure I fill you guys in on things. I also have some TED Talks to get out of the way in my wrap up about some disclaimers about how some people took things the wrong way, and I just kind of want to clear that up, since I did kind of on my YouTube, but not so much on my platform for the podcast. So yeah, this is more of like, not really local, but at one point in my life, I did live in Springfield, Missouri, so it was before this happened. So it was just kind of like a surreal thing when it's so close to home. But if there is a local case that you guys would like me to touch base on, make sure you send it to me at Caffeine Crime Podcast over on Instagram so I can look into it. I am planning things for season 2. I kind of keep going back and forth. I will let you guys know more details in the wrap up for season 1. I think at the end of that, I'll kind of mention a little bit about season 2. You can also follow me at Caffeine Crime Podcast on Instagram so that you guys can keep up to date with everything going on. I will be posting things there as well. But I've been a little back and forth trying to plan everything out. I haven't started filming for season 2 yet, because I did want to get all this wrapped up and done for season 1, but I'm throwing so many different ideas around, so make sure you guys send me in some requests. If I get some episode requests, I will probably do another season close to season 1, but more branching out to other cases and not just cases that are like really close to home to me or touch me in some type of way. These will be cases that I'm newly discovering or that are requested from you guys. I do have some other like high profile cases that I'm sure every single true crime person has done an episode on that I would like to touch base on, but I don't know. I'm still kind of toying the idea of doing a serial killer season. So I don't know. Let me know you guys' thoughts. I would love to hear them. I don't care to discuss it a little bit more in my wrap up, but yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. And like I said last time, I would really appreciate it if you guys could leave me some feedback and a review. I did get my first 1-star on Apple Podcasts, which was very discouraging about the audio quality. And I really apologize. I am very new at making sure audio is perfect. Besides, like with my YouTube, my beauty YouTube, I'm more like, yeah, I want audio to be good, but I really want the picture quality to be really good. So with this, I'm like, it's not the picture quality as much as it is the audio. So I'm working with it. My mic is a little bit closer to me in this episode, and I can't get it as close as I would like. My cord is a little small, but I did order a longer cord, so hopefully I will have it figured out before season 2. But bear with me. This is season 1, so if you want to leave a negative rating on something like that I am progressively working towards getting those things better, shame on you. But yeah, I'm working on it. I'm trying to get better at all this podcast stuff. And if you do have some constructive criticism to send my way, just send them to me in a message. Let's talk about it, But if you do like this podcast and you've really been enjoying it, then make sure you guys give me a rating and let me know what you think. And you guys can also request episodes there too, because I do try to look at my ratings every once in a while just to see if there is constructive criticism or if there's something that, I need to work on. And sometimes it is just a little positive boost seeing people write about how much they love this podcast. So I really do appreciate it. But yeah, I'm going to leave it here because I feel like I've talked more about other things than even what today's episode was. But again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. And I will see you guys next week with season 1 wrap up.